Hey everybody, it's Joe Richardson. I just wanted to let you know I watched Varsity Blues for who knows how many times. I have watched a little bit at a time, but not as much as some of the other movies. Well, to get you started, Varsity Blues came out 20 years ago, actually, the date of 20 years ago was earlier this year sometime, but yeah, it's a 20-year-old movie, so let's just say I couldn't watch it as a kid. I was only 10. My brother was just 8. So my mom watched it, but my brother and I could not. So as I got older, I was interested in this movie and I saw what I was missing. And when I got the DVD, I definitely got my eyes full. I'll tell you what that's about. So, anyways, let's see. James Vanderbeek and John Voight are the main two casts who are on the cover, who are shown on the cover. Their names are Vanderbeek's the backup quarterback, named Jonathan Watson, also known as Mott's. And then John Voight's the head coach, Bud Kilmer of West Canaan High School. Which is, by the way, I think West Canaan is actually fictional. I heard there ain't no West Canaan, and that this movie that's being narrated by Vanderbeek is not really a true story. Just wanted to throw it out there, so don't believe anything that Vanderbeek is narrating. It's just a movie that's fiction, so just take it lightly if possible. Okay, so looks like my energy is up like I want it to be. So Vanderbeek is like this movie starts with 5 games left in the season, and there's a pet rally, and the team captain is starting quarterback Clay Harbor, who is portrayed by Paul Walker. Yep, that's right, actor Paul Walker. His character is Clay Harbor, the starting quarterback for West Canaan. Motson is his backup and doesn't know the plays as well as Harbor does. My mom can tell you she was watching it for Vanderbeek until she saw Paul Walker and was like, "Oh, who's this guy?" My mom likes blonde-haired man. Just putting that out there. So yeah, you can easily say my mom found a new celebrity actor to like, and that was Paul Walker upon watching this movie. And I'm sure a lot of you ladies like him too. I'm sure y'all still like Vanderbeek, even though we know Paul Walker's dead, but Vanderbeek is still alive and well, but he's not near that Paul Walker became anymore, or had become. So, anyways, so okay, 5 games left into the season and a pet rally, and of course the coach knows how to quiet the crowd with his hand going up and pointing downwards. But of course, he does have the crowd get loud, and he has Clay Harbor give a speech about them winning 14-3, and he said, "I know it was only a dream, but I know we can beat them way more than that." Of course, long story short, of course, they go into the season. Watson is throwing the ball. Okay, so that's from the bench. Okay, he shows a good arm. But of course, the coach, Bud Kilmer, likes to run up the score. So, yeah, basically, Watson is told by teammates, and there are some teammates I will have to mention before this review is over. But first of all, his teammate Clay Harbor and him, Clay Harbor, are like best friends, even though they play the same position. Watson, Watson has a brother who wants Watts to play, and he even mentions, what if Clay Harbor gets hurt? And Watson's like, don't even think about him getting hurt. Because Watson likes his buddy, winning games for them. And the pressure, Watson doesn't have any pressure being a backup, whereas Harbor probably did. And, well, his teammate, first of all, offensive guard Billy Bob, portrayed by John Lester, who lost a lot of weight before his death. It's crazy how he was so big and then he lost some weight and then he died. sometime after the weight loss. It's crazy how that happens. But then you got Twitter. Okay, Twitter's a little weird, okay? He talks about sex and even the Billy Bob's pig bacon. Twitter even says he'd have sex with a pig. I mean, come on, who does that? Twitter is just talking about wanting to do this and that to women. Okay, Twitter, I get you. You like girls, you like women, whatever. Alright, so he is a tight end or wide receiver. He wears number 82. So he's a tight end or wide receiver, obviously, with that number. So, okay, then there's the running back, Wendell. He's number 33, and he's like the workhorse, basically. And or in his words during the movie, he's Kilmer's black workhorse, who only has 3 touchdowns because he broke for at least 20 yards. Because when they get in the red zone, they always run sweeps with Harbor or throw to the end zone. So I get more on him too. And Harbor, you'll have to know what happens to him as well. So I basically named the remainder of the guys. Those are the main 5 right there that are talked about on the football team, along with the coach. And then you got Motson's girlfriend, who's very much a nerd. She's academically smart like he is. He's not like the rest of the guys on the team. He likes to read books and study for school when he's not practicing. So his girlfriend, who's portrayed by Amy Smart, she actually turned out to be a very pretty actress. But yeah, she was young and she didn't have the blonde hair in this one, but she still didn't look bad for the character she played as or portrayed. So yeah, and then you got Clay Harbor's girlfriend, who Allie Larder portrayed. Yeah, she was a cheerleader, and she obviously liked Clay Harbor because he was a starting quarterback and was a winner. And that's another thing I'm going to have to get to. So, okay, so what happens is in that first game, when it shows the 5 games remaining, in the first game, Billy Bob, on a sweep play from Harbor, it shows Harbor running with the football and Billy Bob laying guys out and blocking in front of him, laying guys out. And he lays 2 guys out in one block, and he hurts his brain. He's supposedly laid out, and his brain's hurting. But Harbor did get into the end zone on that touchdown run. So Harbor's okay, but his offensive guard, Billy Bob, is not okay. It's nice seeing Billy Bob laying people out, but that brain injury actually ends up costing Harbor because Billy Bob misses a block because his brain is hurt, and he ends up it's the next game, I believe, where Monson has to come in and replaces Harbor because Harbor gets sat and his knee was significantly injured and needed multiple surgeries. The bad thing is it does show where he's getting knee injections, and Motson sees it, but the coach closes the door. Kilmer obviously don't want players knowing what's going on in there. And all I'm going to say is this, I guess knee injections can be very bad. It's supposed to help with the pain. But yeah, as you see in the next game, Motson has to come in, and one fan believes Motson's not worth a flip, and the season's pretty much down the drain. Well, Motson's first pass goes for 40 yards to Tweeter, and I they end up scoring a touchdown on, on that drive, and they realized they got themselves a QB, and he proven to be a good runner too, and he can throw just as well. I think he shows that he is a mobile QB with a throwing arm. However, his his teacher, one of his teachers, Miss Davis, you know, she talked about sexual reproduction, which I'm not going to get into a lot of that. I know Matza made some jokes about some jokes about that topic in the movie. But let's just say I'm not going to get much into it. It was kind of funny. Billy Bob kept raising his hand because he needed to go to the restroom, and that brain injury was part of it. He ended up passing out in class because of that brain injury, and that brain injury actually is why he missed a block, because he passed out, and Clay Harbor got hurt as a result of that missed block. And the coach blames Billy Bob when they lose the game. But what they find after a big win on the road, Miss Davis is seen driving a nice car, and I guess Watson assumes she's making a good salary, and his girlfriend's like, yeah, sure, whatever. But let me backtrack for a second, because also Harbor's in the hospital. When Harbor's first in the hospital, he is seen by the coach, the parents of Clay Harbor. Of course, Motson's girlfriend is Clay Harbor's sister. So Clay's sister was there. Her and Motson were there together, and Clay Harbor's girlfriend was present as well. But Coach Kilmer suggested Motson to go home, and Motson agreed to go home under Coach Kilmer's request. And then the cheerleader, that's Clay Harbor's girlfriend, she decides to get a ride with Motson, since she's assuming it's a family situation. She actually takes her cheerleading outfit off in the car when Motson's driving, and he wants to know what the heck is going on. And he's like, I got underwear. She's like, I'm just changing. I got underwear on, and he's looking. So yes, he's being tempted already. Without further ado, is already starting the temptation of him being the starting quarterback. And yes, there's more to come. So after a big win, so the teacher does compliment him on this win, and he's wondering why she's driving this really nice looking car, and he's assuming it's her teacher's salary, which actually ain't fully it. But before their next game, I do know that whatever that cheerleader's name is, I forget her name, she wants Motson to come over because her parents won't be home till late. And he does end up going without telling his girlfriend. And she asks him if he wants a sundae and would he like whipped cream with that. And he says sure. And so he believes she's coming out with a sundae. No, she's coming out in a whipped cream bikini, which is covering her privates. Let's put it that way. And he's looking like, what the heck? But he does start kissing her until he realizes he can't do this. He didn't want to, his best friend's girlfriend. He didn't want to screw over his best friend like that. And he had a girlfriend himself he didn't want to screw over. So let's just put it that way. He didn't want to mess up what he had with his girlfriend or what he had with his best friend. Of course, she's all upset, and then she starts crying when she realizes she can make her own path. She just wanted to get with Monson basically because he became the starting quarterback. That's what she liked, was starting quarterbacks, and apparently she wanted Monson. Clearly, she liked him for his smarts, but she liked him even more when he started playing quarterback on the field. So, okay, so the guys go to the strip club. Yeah, they decide, but not before a game, to go to a strip club. It was Monson's idea to meet up with the guys. Even Clay Harbor joins them in for some drinks. And I don't know why they didn't get carded or for alcohol or what. But yeah, they're actually at a strip club, and yes, they see strippers, stripping and stuff. And yeah, they actually see their teacher, and their teacher sits down with them. And of course, she doesn't want anybody at the school knowing that she does that at night. Because she was pretty shocked when she saw some of the student bodies sitting there with drinks. And then, yeah. So they're hungover for a game they should have won because they were playing a terrible team. They end up losing to a team they should have beaten. So it's because the main guys were hungover and weren't playing well. And the so I'm not gonna get into it, but yes, they talk about Watson gets accepted to Brown University, and yes, he's got a game to play, but Kilmer's threatening that if he doesn't do things his way, his scholarship's gonna be ruined to go to Brown University. So what happens? Watson listens to him during that last game, but at halftime, when the running back gets hurt in the first half, and he did get a touchdown before getting hurt, but they wanted to eject him, and the players are like, "No, you're not." And eventually, he doesn't. The player doesn't get the injection because Clay Harbor says, you don't want to get injected. He's basically saying, "Don't do it," because it costs Harbor his chance at playing at FSU because he would have been out a year and a half. And I think his commitment to Florida State was no longer there when he got hurt. So yeah, Florida State was good back then too. That's what people don't realize when they watch this movie, that Florida State was good. We're not talking about Willie Taggart nor Jimbo Fisher. We're talking about Bobby Bowden days, which lasted a long time, longer than it probably should have. But yeah. So they so at halftime they're down like 14-7 or something, and the coach actually says, you're gonna walk out with me out this door, but none of the players listen to him, and he walks out and none of the players follow, and they've actually played the second half without the head coach. And then Clay Harbor calls the play to get a chance at coaching. Well, he certainly does call the plays, and eventually they do what Monson tried to do in practice with all the receivers split out wide, like 5 of them, I think. The coach never would have allowed that, but Clay wanted to see how that would work, and it did work in their favor. And they even Monson practice when he was finally started to try the hook and ladder play where Twitter catches the ball and then flips it to Billy Bob, and Billy Bob can't hold on to the ball. But eventually, when they're down, and yes, Monson throws his second TD, the second touchdown was a throw to Tweeter to put it within 3. But with time winding down, okay, so he stops the clock, by throwing at the mascot of the opposing team, and then he does the hook and ladder play. And of course, Billy Bob was able to hold onto the ball, push down defenders, and eventually plow into the end zone to win 20-17. And of course, it's said that he never. Watson said he never played football again. That Wendell got his ride to Gremlin State, which his mom was getting to recruit him. His mom was doing the recruiting, and Gremlin State was giving him a look. So that's where Wendell, the running back, went to. And Tweeter drank beer because that's what he did. Drank beer, even stole a cop car while drinking, while he was drunk, and had some sophomore girls naked in the car. Yeah, some weird stuff Tweeter's got going on, I know. But you still should laugh at his character if you watch the movie. Just don't let your kids watch it if you got kids that are too young. And I would also say, you know, Kilmer never coached. In 30 years of coaching, 23 district championships, and 2 state titles, he never coached again after that game. Monson never played football. Harvard found coaching. And Billy Bob cried because, well, that's what Billy Bob was good for, is crying. He even thought about taking his own life or at one point, but he shot some of his trophies up from when he played as a kid. But it's a little shorter than I wanted it. I mean, I would have wanted it a little bit shorter, but enjoy the movie. I mean, I left out a couple things, but I'm not supposed to say everything anyways. But all right, don't forget to like, subscribe. You know, I think this is worth a shot. I try to watch my language and try to watch what I was talking about, but there were some things I couldn't avoid. That's is not suitable for all ages. But I didn't say anything like cuss words or anything. But just try to be careful if you have kids. And hopefully I can start doing more of these. Bye, y'all.